Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. As you guys can see, I'm back in my normal filming space. And unfortunately, I know I mentioned in my last video in Miami that, the day after I would release another video. But unfortunately, it being lucky episode 13, my camera bag got stolen from my hotel room, unfortunately. So I wasn't able to make a follow-up video, which I really, really wanted to. I was gonna take you on a tour of Bal Harbour to see a few more boutiques, but unfortunately, I didn't have the chance. The good news is, though, back in New York, I'm no longer on a business trip, and my uploads are gonna be a lot more regular. So hopefully, we're gonna have a lot more content for you guys this week. Well, a topic I want to talk about today is one that I mentioned previously, I thought didn't get enough press or, enough recognition. And I'm going to talk about my top 4 favorite dress watches. These are going to be mainly in the luxury segment. What makes a dress watch? A dress watch usually comprises of these characteristics. It's usually thin, classic, can slip under a cuff, can usually be worn black tie, is sometimes a precious metal, and is almost always on a leather strap. Now, in my opinion, nowadays everybody loves the sports watches, and not enough people lean towards dress watches. I think most gentlemen should definitely have one in their collection. Guys, I almost forgot my wrist check. Today, I'm wearing the Breitling Chronomat Evolution chronograph. It's 42mm beauty. I don't give it enough love, unfortunately, but I thought I'd take it out of the case today. Moving on, here are my top 4 favorite dress watches. Number 1 is a dress watch that's very high on my want to buy list, but I just haven't been able to afford. But it's pretty much a grail watch, you could say, and that is the Patek Philippe 5127, particularly the rose gold version, even though it does come also in white and in yellow. This is the successor of the famed 5107, but it has been discontinued because there is a new version called the 5227. However, I am talking about the 5127, and this is my favorite of the line. It's a 37mm watch, automatic with a date, and it's got that beautiful Patek Philippe gold rotor. It's a caliber 315 automatic movement, and depending when you buy the watch, it's either got the Geneva seal, which is a seal given to watches made in Geneva that are finished to, the movement is finished to a certain quality, or it might have the Patek Philippe seal. The reason that is Patek stopped using the Geneva seal due to some internal political squabbling in the industry. Let's just say they weren't too happy when Cartier started using it, so they invented their own seal. It's 30-meter water resistant, which is to be expected because it's a dress watch. And, my favorite feature of this watch is just the lines of the case, the crown guard. Everything is so round, so supple. The crown guard is a sports watch element, but it just looks so right on this watch. And on the verge of sounding crass, this watch almost reminds me of the lines of a beautiful woman, a beautiful figure. It's just something, that I would love to have on my wrist. It's also not too showy. Most people won't know it's a Patek Philippe, but I find it to be one of the most elegant watches of our time. Moving along, we come to number 2 on my list, and another one of my favorites, and also one that I'm basically on the verge of buying. I'm going to be saying that a lot this video. I really love this list, but number 2 is the JLC Reverso Grand Tie. Now, the Reverso came out in 1931 and was originally a sports watch. It's a watch that flips over to protect the crystal, and this was invented for polo players I believe polo players in India, as per the request of the Maharaja. And, so originally a sports watch, but nowadays very much a dress watch. It was built using the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence. We talked about this, well, rather, I talked about this in a video with TGV a couple weeks ago. And it's a manual wind 822 Jaeger movement. Now, something that makes this rather special is the movement, even though you can't see it because there's no display back, is a square movement. Now, you say, Federico, why is that so special? Because it goes to show that Jaeger invented the movement particularly for this watch. Most companies, well, not most, but a lot of companies are guilty of this. Off the top of my head, Girard Perregaux, and even Cartier, of putting round movements in square watches. Now, most people wouldn't notice, most people wouldn't care. But, obviously the movement was not engineered for that watch. Why would you put a round movement in a square case? Whereas Jaeger, all the Reverso movements are rectangular, and they're built for their particular watch. It just shows that they went the extra mile to produce something special. And another very special thing about the Grand Tie is, a lot of Jaegers, the Reversos, when you flip them, they're GMTs, or they have complications, or even a display back. This one is a solid back, and I particularly love that because, one, the original was a solid back, and two, you can use it to engrave initials, a message if it's for, a birthday or an anniversary, even your family crest. You can even enamel the back. Jaeger does offer that service, but it's particularly expensive and prohibitive. But there's something about the Reverso that I really like. It's very Art Deco. You won't see a lot of people walking around with a Reverso, and it's actually quite popular in nobility. A lot of the British royal family wore a Reverso, as well as the Prince of Monaco, I think, still wears a Reverso. It's just something distinctive, something that, in my opinion, oozes class. And of course, Jaeger, or Jaeger, however you choose to pronounce it, is a top watchmaker. And, it's a pretty fair price. These can be had for anywhere between $3,500 to $5,500. So pretty fair. And this is for the watch in steel. And moving on is another particularly beautiful watch, and in my opinion is the black sheep of this list, and that is the Piaget Altiplano 33-112. Little disclaimer here, guys, I used to work for Piaget. I no longer do, but I might be a little biased because I really do love this watch, and I've got to hold it in my hands more than once. Now, Piaget market themselves as the master of the ultra-thin watch. And ultra-thin goes hand in hand with dress watch. And in fact, they still hold, I believe it's 27 world records for thinness. Thinnest automatic, thinnest skeleton, thinnest tourbillon, so on and so forth. Now, this is a 40 millimeter movement, 40 millimeter case, and it's got the 838P movement fully in-house. And the movement is only 2.5 millimeters thick. That's pretty nuts. It's 30 meters water resistant, and it's, as I said, 40 millimeter case. But this one has a display back, which is, something special because a lot of people love to see the inner workings of the watch. Some people might prefer to engrave something. You don't have the option with this watch, but you do get to see a beautifully decorated movement. And another thing I love about this watch is if you look at the picture, the seconds are offset at 10 o'clock. Now, to the best of my knowledge, and I could be wrong here, guys, so feel free to correct me, I've never seen a watch with this setup of the seconds at 10. It's so strange, but it's so, what's the right word, enchanting almost. I find this watch to be very 1950s, very Mad Men-esque, if you will. I mean, the 40 millimeter is more modern, in its size, but there's just something about this watch. The sunburst finish on the dial, the very simple baton hands and markers, and that seconds at 10 o'clock. It's just, it's minimalist, but all the touches it has are extremely different. Now, this watch can be had pre-owned, of course, between $9,000 and $13,000 depending on condition. And this watch only comes in precious metals. Moving on to the last watch on my list, and one which I have spoken about in a previous video, but I feel deserves a second mention, especially in the dress watch category. And that is the Nomos Orion 38mm. This is a 38mm case, as the name suggests, and it's got the manual wind, fully in-house beta movement. Now, the beta movement has the date. It's a very Bauhaus design, very German, very minimalist. You know, it's what Nomos specializes in. And my favorite thing about the watches is the contrast between the gold hour markers and the blue hands. I think it's such a, such a beautiful contrast, and it's something I don't believe I've seen too much of in the watch industry. Now, it's also very, very thin and has a display back. Now, Nomos is one of those small brands that's got a very small production. If I had to give an educated guess, just like in my last video, I'd say about 20,000 pieces per year. It's the perfect watch for watch geeks on a budget who still want something serious. It's definitely a conversation starter. I mean, Nomos, the prices are climbing steadily, so I'd say get one sooner rather than later. However, for the money, it's a great dress watch, and these can be picked up for between $1,800 to $2,500 pre-owned, and that's a hell of a bargain. Anyway, guys, what did you think of my list? I mainly have experience with the high-end watches, so I skipped a lot of the beautiful, less expensive dress watches like the Orient Bambino. I know there's a lot of options out there, but I decided to keep this list strictly high-end. Well, what did you think? Did you agree with my picks? Let me know in the comments below. And please, like this video if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And don't forget to subscribe. Now that I'm back in New York, I'll be having a lot more content coming out to you guys soon. Thank you so much for sticking around for Federico Talks Watches, and I'll see you guys real soon. Take care.